Hey guys, tonight we are traveling to a beautiful old city of canals and cobblestones, a place where the air itself seems to be perfumed with the scent of waffles and melting chocolate. We are heading to Belgium to a small family-run chocolate shop in the bustling, happy days leading up to a big festival. You can almost hear the cheerful chime of a shop bell, feel the warmth from the chocolatier's kitchen, and smell that incredible, rich, and deeply comforting aroma of the world's finest chocolate. Are you ready in your warm bed? I hope you are feeling wonderfully cozy. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always so lovely seeing where you're all listening from, so feel free to leave your city or country and the local time in the comments. It makes the world feel a little smaller and a little warmer. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake up not with a jolt, but with a gentle, slow surrender to your senses. The first thing you are aware of is not a sound or the morning light, but a smell. It is the smell that has been the constant perfume of your entire life. It is the rich, warm, slightly bitter, and deeply sweet aroma of melting chocolate. It curls up from the workshop below, seeps through the floorboards of your small apartment, and fills your room with the most comforting scent imaginable. You are Amélie, and you are the daughter of a Belgian chocolatier. Your home and your world are all contained within one tall, narrow, beautiful old building on a cobblestone street in the city of Bruges. The ground floor is the shop, a magical jewel box with a large display window and a cheerful bell that jingles whenever a customer enters. The back room is the workshop, the atelier, a warm, fragrant, and slightly chaotic laboratory where the magic happens. And above it all, on the top two floors, is the small, cozy apartment where your family lives. You slip out of bed and dress quickly, your excitement for the day ahead making you move faster than usual. You can hear your parents already at work below. You head downstairs, your footsteps quiet on the worn wooden stairs. The smell of chocolate grows stronger with every step. You enter the atelier to find your papa, Jean-Pierre, already hard at work. He is the master chocolatier, a quiet, focused man who speaks more through his hands and his creations than he does with words. He stands before a large double boiler on the stove, gently stirring a great, churning pool of dark, liquid chocolate with a long wooden spoon. Your mama, Celeste, is at a large table, organizing ribbons and beautifully printed paper for the boxes she will have to fill. She is the smiling face of the shop, the one who greets the customers and wraps each purchase as if it were a precious gift. She looks up and smiles as you enter. "Good morning, my little pralin," she says, her voice as warm as the melting chocolate. The atmosphere in the workshop is different today. For most of the year, it is a place of calm, steady work. But now, in the last weeks of November, a gentle, happy chaos descends. The great festival of St. Nicholas is approaching. On the morning of December 6th, good children all over Belgium will wake to find their shoes, which they had left by the hearth, filled with gifts and sweets. And the most important of these sweets is, of course, chocolate. The tradition is an old and beloved one. Children are taught that St. Nicholas, a kind bishop-like figure, arrives not from the North Pole on a sleigh, but by steamboat from Spain to reward them for their good behavior. This is your busiest, most important, and most joyful time of the year. Your papa is preparing the raw material for the festival. He is melting large, heavy discs of dark couverture chocolate. Your family's small shop is part of a grand Belgian tradition. Historians and economists of the future will debate the primary reason for the proliferation of so many small, family-run chocolateries in Belgium. Was it a legacy of the old medieval guild system, which emphasized craft over mass production? Or was it due to specific economic factors, like Belgium's colonial access to high-quality cocoa beans from the Congo, that made the raw materials for chocolate making so plentiful? You do not know the reason. You only know that your father, like his father before him, is part of this tradition of small-scale, high-quality artistry. He is not a factory worker, he is a craftsman. Amélie, your father says, his eyes still focused on the swirling pool of chocolate. The molds, they must be perfect. This is your first task of the day, a job you know well. You go to a tall wooden shelf where the chocolate molds are kept. They are heavy, made of polished metal, and they come in two halves held together by clips. Your job is to make them ready for the chocolate. You take a soft, clean cotton ball and you polish the inside of each mold until it shines like a mirror. Your papa has taught you that any tiny speck of dust, any faint, lingering fingerprint will spoil the finish of the final product. A perfect chocolate must have a flawless, high-gloss shine. And that shine is born here in the patient, careful polishing of the molds. You work at the table, polishing the cool, smooth metal. You polish the molds for the small chocolate coins, wrapped in gold foil to look like the coins the real St. Nicholas is said to have given to the poor. You polish the molds for the small, hollow figurines of the saint's helper, Zwarte Piet, or Black Peter. And most importantly, you polish the large, intricate molds for the grand Saint Nicholas. Figures themselves, the masterpieces that will take pride of place in the shop window. As you work, you can feel the gentle, happy energy of the workshop building around you. The sound of your father. Stirring the chocolate is a slow, rhythmic slosh. The rustle of the beautiful wrapping paper your mother is sorting is a crisp, pleasant whisper. The air is warm and smells better than any bakery or flower shop in the world. It is the smell of your home, of your family, of your life's work. Your papa lifts the inner pot of the double boiler from the heat. The chocolate is now a perfect, glossy, liquid pool of darkness, with no unmelted lumps. It is completely smooth. He dips a spoon in and lets the chocolate run off. He nods to himself, satisfied with the consistency. He looks over at you, at the growing stack of perfectly polished molds beside you. "Good work, Amélie," he says. "The molds are ready for their chocolate." He pauses, and a look of deep concentration comes over his face. "And now," he says, his voice taking on the quiet gravity he reserves for the most important moments of his craft, "the chocolate must be made ready for the molds. It is time for the tempering." He gestures for you to come closer, to watch the next most crucial and most magical step in the process. The gentle chaos of the festival preparations has truly begun, and you are right in the heart of it, surrounded by the sights, sounds, and smells of a Belgian family's love affair with chocolate. Your father carries the heavy bowl of warm, liquid chocolate from the stove to the great marble slab that stands in the center of the atelier. This slab is the heart of the workshop, its altar. It is a single, massive piece of cool, pale marble, crisscrossed with faint gray veins, and it has been in your family for 3 generations. Your papa treats it with a reverence you have seen him afford to little else. He believes this particular slab, a gift from his own grandfather, holds the cold perfectly and has a unique, almost magical ability to coax the chocolate into its best possible state. It is a family heirloom as important as any portrait or piece of jewelry. He sets the bowl down and gestures for you to watch closely. Anyone can melt chocolate, Amélie, he says, his voice low and serious. But a chocolatier, a true chocolatier, knows how to temper it. This is the secret. This is what gives the chocolate its life. He takes the bowl and pours about 2/3 of the glossy, dark liquid directly onto the center of the marble slab. It spreads out slowly, a thick, silent, volcanic river of melted cocoa. The warmth of the chocolate, meeting the profound coolness of the marble, releases a new, intense wave of fragrance into the air, a scent so rich and deep it feels like you could taste it. Now the dance begins. Your father takes his tools, a large, flat-ended metal scraper and a smaller, angled spatula. With the scraper, he begins to work the chocolate. He spreads it out across the marble in a long, smooth, even layer. Then, with a graceful fluid motion, he gathers it all back up, scraping it from the edges of the slab back into a pool in the center. He spreads it out again and gathers it back in spread, and spread, and gather. The movements are rhythmic, repetitive, and deeply hypnotic. The only sound is the soft, satisfying scrape of the metal scraper against the smooth marble surface, and the gentle, wet slap of the chocolate as it is folded back on itself. You watch, mesmerized, as the chocolate begins to change as it is worked against the cool stone. It slowly loses its high, liquid gloss, becoming thicker, more viscous, its surface turning from a shiny black to a duller, more satin-like brown. You see, your father says, never breaking his rhythm, we are making it angry now. We are cooling it down, confusing it. He explains in his simple craftsman's language the science that you will only later understand. He tells you that chocolate has a memory, that it is made of tiny, invisible crystals. If you just let it cool down by itself, he says, spreading the chocolate thinly again, the crystals will grow all wrong. They will be lazy and weak. The chocolate will be dull. It will be soft. It will melt on your fingers, and it will have no snap when you bite it. It will be a sad chocolate. But, he continues, gathering it all back up with a flourish, if we work it like this, if we cool it and move it, we are teaching it. We are persuading only the best, strongest crystals to form the good crystals. We are giving it discipline. We are making it happy. He is, in his own way, explaining the complex process of encouraging the formation of the stable beta V crystals in the cocoa butter, the secret to a perfect final product. He works for what seems like a very long time, his body swaying in a gentle, practiced rhythm. The pool of chocolate on the marble is now noticeably thicker, like a soft, rich mud. Now comes the next crucial step. food scientists of the future will debate the exact seeding temperature that is optimal for creating a perfect temper, using precise digital thermometers. Your father uses no thermometer. He uses only his eyes, his hands, and his experience. He feels that the chocolate is ready. With a few swift, expert movements, he scrapes all of the cooled, thickened chocolate from the marble slab back into the bowl with the remaining 1/3 of the original warm, melted chocolate. He has now seeded the batch. The thick, cooled chocolate, which is full of the stable crystals he has just encouraged to form, will now teach the rest of the warm chocolate how to behave, acting as a template for the right kind of crystal growth. He puts down his big scraper and picks up a clean spatula. He begins to stir the contents of the bowl, not vigorously, but with a slow, gentle, folding motion, ensuring the cooler chocolate is perfectly incorporated into the warmer chocolate, bringing the entire batch to a single, uniform, perfect working temperature. "Now," he says, his voice a whisper, "we see if it has listened." He takes a clean palette knife and dips the very tip into the bowl of newly tempered chocolate. He pulls it out, a small, glossy brown coating on the end of the blade. He lays the knife on the edge of the workbench. "We wait," he says, 5 minutes. If the temper is good, it will set quickly. It will be hard, and it will be shiny, with no gray streaks. If it is not, we must begin again. Those 5 minutes feel like an eternity. The entire festival depends on this moment. You and your father stand in silence, watching the small patch of chocolate on the knife blade. The workshop is quiet, except for the low hiss of the stove and the gentle ticking of the old clock on the wall. You look over at the neat rows of shiny silver molds you polished so carefully this morning. They are waiting, ready. They need perfect chocolate. You look back at the knife, and you see it. The magic is happening. The liquid chocolate is no longer liquid. It is hardening. The surface is not dull or streaky. It is becoming smooth with a deep, rich, beautiful gloss. It looks like a polished piece of dark mahogany. Your father picks up the knife. He holds it out for you. "Tap it," he says. You reach out a hesitant finger and gently tap the small patch of hardened chocolate. It makes a sharp, clean, satisfying snap sound. It is perfect. A slow, proud smile spreads across your father's face. He looks at you, and you see in his eyes the deep, quiet joy of a master who has successfully performed the most important and difficult part of his art. The long, patient dance is over. The chocolate has listened. It has learned its lesson. It is happy, it is strong, and it is ready. Ready to be poured into the waiting molds, ready to become the delicious, magical heart of the St. Nicholas Festival. The perfect, satisfying snap of the chocolate on the knife is the starting pistol for the day's real work. The gentle chaos begins. Your papa, his face set in a look of deep, focused satisfaction, carries the heavy bowl of perfectly tempered chocolate over to the main workbench, where the rows of gleaming metal molds you polished this morning lie waiting like empty, silver soldiers. "Now, Amélie," he says, "we build our army of saints." The largest and most important molds are for the hollow figures of St. Nicholas. This is a technique that became popular in the last century, a clever way to make large, impressive figures without using a solid block of expensive chocolate. Creating a perfect hollow figure is a delicate art. and it is a three-person job, a family dance that you have practiced many times. Your papa, as the master, takes the first and most critical role. He is the guardian of the chocolate. He takes a ladle and, with a steady hand, pours a precise amount of the glossy, tempered chocolate into one half of the two-part St. Nicholas mold. The chocolate flows like a thick, dark, silent river, filling the shape of the saint's robes, his bishop's mitre, and his long, flowing beard. He then passes the filled half mold to your mama. Her role requires a quick, deft, and gentle touch. She takes the mold in both hands and begins to swirl it, tilting and turning it with a practiced, rhythmic motion. She is coaxing the liquid chocolate, encouraging it to flow into every tiny, intricate detail of the mold. It must coat the surface evenly, creating a shell that is not too thick, or it will be clumsy, and not too thin, or it will break when it is demolded. As she works, she tells you the story that the mold depicts. "You see here, Amélie," she says, pointing to three small, round shapes at the saint's feet. "These are the 3 bags of gold." She tells you the famous legend of the real Saint Nicholas, a kind bishop who lived in a faraway land a very, very long time ago. Folklorists and cultural anthropologists of the future will debate the long, strange process by which Saint Nicholas, a 4th century Greek bishop from Anatolia, became the central figure of a winter festival in northern Europe. But your mother tells the story that matters, the story of his kindness. "There was a poor man," she says, her hands never stopping their gentle, swirling dance, "who had 3 daughters, but he had no money to give them for their dowries, so they could not get married. St. Nicholas heard of their plight, and in the dead of night he secretly threw 3 bags of gold through their window, 1 for each daughter, so they could marry and be happy. That is why he is the patron saint of children. That is why he brings us gifts. He is a secret keeper, a bringer of joy in the darkness." When she is satisfied that the chocolate has coated the entire surface, she passes the mold to you. Your job is to take the second, empty half of the mold and carefully place it on top. You must align the edges perfectly. Then, you take the small metal clips and fasten the 2 halves together, creating a complete 3-dimensional form. You give the whole mold a gentle shake, a final persuasion for the chocolate to settle perfectly, and then you place it upside down on a wire rack. This allows the excess chocolate to drip out, ensuring the final figure will be perfectly hollow. You work like this for the next hour, a silent, efficient, family production line. Papa pours, Mama swirls, and you clip, pour, swirl, clip. The wire racks begin to fill with the large, sealed molds. The workshop is quiet, save for the gentle slosh of the chocolate, the soft click of the metal clips, and the low, steady ticking of the clock on the wall. It is a peaceful, focused, and deeply satisfying work. After a while, the molds are cool enough to be handled again. Now comes the second part of the process, which is also your job. You take each mold and, using the handle of a small wooden spoon, you gently but firmly tap the outside of the metal. Tap, tap, tap. The sound is a light, hollow percussion in the quiet room. This tapping is crucial. It helps to release any tiny air bubbles that may have been trapped between the chocolate and the mold, ensuring the finished figure will have a flawless, blemish-free surface. As you work, tapping away at the silent metal saints, you feel a deep sense of connection to the festival, to the story. You are not just making a piece of candy, you are creating a character in a beloved story. You are making the magical object that a child will find in their shoe on the morning of the great day, a tangible piece of the festival's joy. When all the molds have been filled and tapped, they are carried to the coolest part of the workshop, a small, stone-floored pantry where they are left to set completely. The chocolate must harden, and as it does, it will shrink ever so slightly. It is this tiny contraction that will allow it to release cleanly from the polished surface of the mold. While you wait for the chocolate to set, your mother gives you another task. You must prepare the gold foil for the chocolate coins. You take large, thin sheets of golden foil, as delicate as butterfly wings, and cut them into perfect circles, ready to wrap the small chocolate coins that your father will make with the leftover tempered chocolate. Finally, the moment of truth arrives. Your father goes to the pantry and brings back the first of the cooled St. Nicholas molds. It is cold to the touch. He places it on the clean workbench. He takes a small cloth and gives the outside of the mold a final polish. Then, with a surgeon's care, he unfastens the metal clips. He takes hold of the top half of the mold and lifts it away. It comes free with a soft, satisfying hiss. And there, lying nestled in the bottom half of the mold, is a perfect, gleaming, dark chocolate saint. Its surface is as smooth and glossy as polished jet. Every detail of the mold, the curls of his beard, the pattern on his robes, the 3 little bags of gold at his feet, is rendered in flawless, shining chocolate. Your papa smiles, a deep look of satisfaction on his face. He looks at you. "You see, Amélie," he says, "the shine, it is perfect. That is because you polished the molds so well. The chocolate's beauty begins with your good work." He gently teases the chocolate figure from the second half of the mold, and it stands, proud and perfect, on the workbench. He repeats the process with the next mold and the next. Soon the workbench is covered with a silent, sweet, and shining army. Dozens of chocolate saints, all identical, all flawless, all standing at attention, ready for the festival. You look at them, at this legion of sweetness that you and your parents have created together. The gentle chaos of the day has resulted in this quiet, orderly, beautiful display. You feel a surge of pride and happiness. The first, and most important, of the festival treats is complete. You have built an army of joy, and soon they will go out into the world to make the children of your city very, very happy. With the army of chocolate saints standing proudly on the racks, a great sense of accomplishment settles over the workshop. This is a major part of the festival preparation done. Your papa, seeing the day's progress, decides to make a trip to the warehouses by the canal to secure another delivery of the finest cacao beans from South America. He leaves you and your mama in charge of the atelier, a quiet kingdom now filled with the rich, sweet smell of chocolate. "The saints are for the children's shoes," your mama says, wiping down the marble slab with a clean, damp cloth. "But the pralines, The pralines are for everyone. They are the heart of our shop, and the heart of the praline is its filling." She smiles at you. "Today," she says, "I will show you how to make my mother's hazelnut praline. It is our family's secret." The Belgian praline, you know, is a relatively new invention, a piece of modern magic. It was only a dozen or so years ago, in 1912, that a chocolatier in Brussels named Jean Neuhaus Jr. had the brilliant idea of creating a hard chocolate shell that he could then fill with a soft, flavored cream or paste. Before him, filled chocolates were soft, sticky things. He created the elegant, sophisticated little jewels that your family and all the other chocolatiers in Belgium are now famous for. Your papa is the master of the shell, but your mama is the guardian of the fillings. Her first step is to prepare the hazelnuts. She brings out a large sack of them, and you help her spread them in a single layer on a large baking sheet. She places them in the moderately hot oven. Within a few minutes, a new aroma begins to fill the workshop, mingling with the ever-present scent of chocolate. It is a warm, toasty, nutty smell, a scent that makes your mouth water and your stomach rumble. It is the smell of comfort, of winter, of a warm hearth. While the nuts are toasting, your mama takes out her favorite pot. It is made of heavy, gleaming copper, which she insists is the only proper vessel for making caramel. She places it on the stove and adds a generous amount of pure white sugar. She adds no water. A dry caramel has the purest flavor, she explains. She turns the heat on low and watches the sugar with the intense focus of a hawk. You watch with her. At first, nothing happens. Then, the edges of the sugar begin to melt, turning from a white crystalline powder into a clear, bubbling liquid. She gently tilts the pan, swirling the melting sugar. The liquid slowly begins to take on color, first a pale straw, then a light gold, and finally a beautiful, deep, shimmering amber, the color of a fine cognac. Just at that moment, she pulls the pot from the heat. A few seconds longer, and the sugar would burn, turning bitter and unusable. It is a process of perfect timing. She takes the hazelnuts, now fragrant and golden brown, from the oven. Working quickly while the caramel is still molten, she pours the hot nuts into the hot caramel and stirs them together with a wooden spoon. Then she pours the entire glistening, nutty, amber mixture onto the cool marble slab. It spreads out and hardens almost instantly into a great, brittle sheet of what looks like beautiful, stained glass. This is the praline base. You are allowed the first taste. Your mama breaks off a small corner of the hardened brittle and hands it to you. It is delicious. The deep, smoky sweetness of the caramel and the rich, toasty flavor of the hazelnuts create a perfect, crunchy harmony. But the final filling must not be crunchy. It must be a smooth, luxurious paste. Now comes the hard work, the old-fashioned way. Your mama brings out the mortier and pilona, a large, heavy granite mortar and pestle that sits in the corner of the workshop. It is another family heirloom, its surface worn smooth from generations of grinding nuts, spices, and sugar. The two of you break the sheet of hazelnut brittle into smaller, manageable pieces and place them in the heavy mortar. Your mama takes the pestle first, showing you the technique. It is a rhythmic motion, a combination of crushing and grinding. Crunch, grind, crunch, grind. The sound is a rough, percussive beat in the quiet workshop. The hard, glassy brittle slowly begins to break down, first into a coarse, gravelly rubble, then into a finer, sandy powder. "Now, your turn," she says, handing you the heavy stone pestle. You take over, imitating her rhythm. It is surprisingly hard work. You must use your weight, pressing down and grinding in a circular motion. Ow. As you work, your mama talks about the recipe. "My mother always said the secret is the balance," she explains. "Too much sugar, and it is just candy. Too many nuts, and the paste will be too oily and heavy." Culinary historians and pastry chefs of the future will debate the ideal ratio of sugar to nuts in a perfect praline paste. But for your mama, there is no debate. Her mother's recipe, a secret 55% nuts to 45% sugar, is the only one that is correct. It is the taste of her childhood, the taste she is now passing on to you. As you continue to grind, a magical transformation occurs. As the powder becomes finer and finer, the natural oils in the hazelnuts begin to be released. The dry, sandy powder begins to clump together, growing darker, moister. With continued grinding, it becomes a thick, smooth, fragrant paste, the consistency of soft butter. You have done it. You have created the praline filling. Your mama takes a small taste with the tip of a spoon and nods, her eyes closing in satisfaction. "Perfect," she whispers. She scrapes the beautiful, nutty paste into a bowl. But she is not done. The shop must offer a variety of flavors. Next, she will make a simple, classic, dark chocolate ganache. She takes a bowl of your papa's remaining tempered chocolate. In a small pot, she gently heats some rich, thick cream until it is just steaming. She then pours the hot cream over the chocolate and begins to stir, slowly and gently, from the center outwards. The chocolate and the cream, at first unwilling partners, slowly begin to emulsify, coming together to create a single, glossy, silky smooth, dark brown emulsion. It is simple, elegant, and deeply delicious. You now have two beautiful bowls of filling, sitting on the workbench, cooling. One is the pale brown, richly scented hazelnut praline. The other is the dark, decadent, silky chocolate ganache. They are the soft, delicious souls waiting for the hard, shiny chocolate bodies that your papa will create for them. You look around the workshop, on the racks. The army of saints waits silently. On the table, the bowls of filling wait patiently. The room is filled with an almost overwhelmingly beautiful tapestry of smells. The deep, dark scent of pure cocoa, the warm, toasty perfume of roasted hazelnuts, the sweet, smoky aroma of caramel. While the grand, hollow figures of St. Nicholas are the showpieces of the festival, you know that these small, humble pralines, each one filled and dipped by hand, are the true, year-round heart of your family's shop. And today you have learned the secret to their soul. The afternoon wears on in a state of warm, fragrant, and productive bliss. Your papa has returned, his own quest for supplies successful, and now the atelier is a hive of quiet, focused activity. He has begun the delicate work of creating the hollow chocolate shells for the pralines, pouring thin layers of the tempered chocolate into small, semi-spherical molds. Your mama has started to make the ganache and praline fillings you prepared earlier, piping the soft, delicious centers into the hardened shells. and you are helping her, your small fingers becoming surprisingly adept at the task. The workshop is a small world of gentle, repetitive, and deeply satisfying work. As your mama fills the last of a tray of chocolate shells with the hazelnut praline paste, she makes a small, frustrated sound. Zoot, she mutters. I am out of the small square boxes, the ones for the special St. Nicholas assortments. She turns to you, a hopeful look on her face. Amélie, my sweet, would you be a dear? Go up to the old storeroom above the workshop. There should be another case of them somewhere. Look for a carton from the supplier in Brussels. You are happy for the mission. You wipe your sticky chocolate and hazelnut-covered fingers on a cloth and head for the steep, narrow staircase that leads to the storeroom. This room, like an attic, is a place of memory and forgotten things. It is where your family keeps the supplies that are out of season, the ghosts of festivals past. You push open the old wooden door and are greeted by the familiar, dusty scent of old paper, dry wood, and time itself. The room is dim, lit only by a single grime-covered window that looks out over the neighboring rooftops. It is filled with a jumble of objects from the shop's long history. There are stacks of cardboard boxes, bundles of faded ribbon from Christmases past, a large, comical papier-mâché Easter bunny with one ear bent, and strings of dusty glass ornaments. You begin your search for the square boxes. You move through the cluttered space, your footsteps soft on the dusty floorboards. You find a case of the right boxes from the supplier, but it is empty. You search on, moving deeper into the room, towards the dark corners under the sloping eaves. It is back here, tucked away behind a stack of old advertising posters and covered by a heavy linen drop cloth, that you find it. It is not a cardboard carton, it is a wooden crate. It is small and square, made of a dark, heavy wood, with sturdy, dovetailed joints and a simple, sliding lid. It looks much older than anything else in the room. It does not look like a box for supplies. It looks like a box for treasure. Your curiosity, as always, gets the better of you. You pull the crate out from its hiding place. It is heavy. A fine layer of gray dust covers the lid. You wipe it away with your sleeve, and with some effort, you manage to slide the tight-fitting lid open. The inside is packed with old, yellowed straw, which releases a sweet, dry, grassy smell as you disturb it. You reach in, your fingers pushing through the rustling straw, and they close around something hard, smooth, and cold. You lift it out. It is a chocolate mold, but it is unlike any you have ever seen. It is not the simple, functional shape of a sphere, or the traditional folksy shape of St. Nicholas. This is a work of art. It is a mold for a single, perfect scallop shell, its radiating lines rendered in exquisite, delicate detail. It is made of a heavy, silvery metal, and it is beautifully crafted. Your heart beating a little faster, you reach back into the crate. You pull out another mold and another. Each one is a small, perfect sculpture. There is a mold of a graceful swan, its long neck curved into an elegant S. There is a mold of a dragonfly, its wings a delicate, intricate lacework. There is a mold of a single iris flower, its petals looking as if they are about to unfold. The style is one you recognize from the grand buildings in the city center and from the art books in your papa's study. It is Art Nouveau. The swirling, organic, nature-inspired lines are unmistakable. Design historians of the future will debate the influence of the Art Nouveau style on everyday commercial objects, questioning whether it was a style reserved only for grand architecture and fine art. But here, in your hands, is the proof. This was a style that had filtered down into even the humble, delicious world of chocolate making. You carefully lift the last, most beautiful mold from the crate. It is a large, rectangular mold designed to make a single, thin tablet of chocolate. But its surface is not smooth. It is intricately carved with a beautiful, flowing design of intertwined willow branches. And there, in a tiny, discreet corner of the design, you see it. Two small, elegantly intertwined letters stamped into the metal, a V and a B. Vandenberge, it was your grandfather's mark, your papa's father, a man you have only ever known through stories and a single, faded photograph. He was the one who first opened this shop, who passed the art on to your father. This was his work, his designs, his secret signature. A wave of awe washes over you. You are holding a piece of your own family's history, a treasure you never knew existed. You carefully place the scallop shell and the dragonfly back in the crate and slide the lid closed, but you take the two most beautiful molds, the swan and the willow branch tablet, and you carry them carefully downstairs. You enter the atelier to find your parents still hard at work. "I couldn't find the square boxes, Mama," you say, your voice a little shaky with excitement. "But I found these." You place the two antique molds on the workbench. Your mother and father stop what they are doing and stare. A deep, profound silence falls over the workshop, a silence more complete than any you have experienced today. Your papa reaches out a reverent hand and picks up the swan mold. He turns it over and over, his thumb tracing the graceful curve of its neck. "My father's molds," he whispers, his voice thick with emotion. "I thought these were lost forever. After he died, we couldn't find them. We thought they had been thrown away." Your mama picks up the willow branch tablet and runs her fingers over the tiny, intertwined letters of your grandfather's mark. "He was so proud of these," she says softly. "He said chocolate should not just be a treat for the mouth, but a feast for the eyes as well." Your papa looks from the antique mold in his hand to the bowl of still perfectly tempered chocolate on the marble slab. He looks at you, his eyes shining with a new, sudden inspiration. The gentle chaos of the day has just taken an unexpected turn. You have not just found a box of old tools. You have unearthed a lost legacy. And now your family has a new, beautiful, and deeply personal way to celebrate the coming festival. The discovery of your grandfather's molds changes the atmosphere in the workshop. The steady, productive rhythm of the day is now infused with a new, excited energy, a direct link to the shop's own past. Your papa holds the elegant swan mold in his hands, his expression one of deep, nostalgic reverence. "We must use them," he says, his voice quiet but firm, "today. It would be an insult to my father's memory to leave them in their box for another day." And so a new, unplanned project begins. Your papa takes the two molds you brought down, the swan and the willow branch tablet, and begins to clean them with a care that borders on worship. He polishes the old, heavy metal until it gleams, the intricate Art Nouveau lines emerging from the dust of decades. While he is doing this, your mama is struck by her own bolt of inspiration. A special mold deserves a special filling, she declares. She goes to a tin where she keeps the traditional spiced biscuits of the season, the thin, crunchy, windmill-shaped speculoos. She takes a handful and, using her granite mortar and pestle, she crushes them into a fine, fragrant powder that smells wonderfully of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. She takes this powder and folds it into the bowl of rich hazelnut praline of quinoa paste you made earlier. She tastes the new concoction with a small spoon. Her eyes light up. It is a perfect fusion of flavors, the nuttiness of the praline and the warm, familiar spice of the festival biscuit. Your papa, having finished polishing the antique molds, takes a ladle of the still perfectly tempered dark chocolate. He carefully coats the inside of the swan and the willow tablet molds, his movements even more precise and gentle than before. Once the first layer is set, your mama pipes her new, secret speculous praline filling into the shells. Then your papa seals them with a final, smooth layer of chocolate. The new creations are set aside in the cool pantry to harden, their historical and culinary secrets hidden for now. As the afternoon light begins to fade, a sense of completion settles over the atelier. The great bowl of tempered chocolate is nearly empty. Trays and racks are filled with finished pralines and glossy. Saint Nicholas figures the day of gentle, happy chaos is drawing to a close. Now the final ritual begins, preparing the shop window for the festival rush. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the shop window had become a kind of public stage, a small theater to entice and enchant the passers-by. Your family's window display is your mother's pride and joy, her annual masterpiece. The three of you move from the workshop in the back to the small, elegant shop in the front. Your mama brings out bolts of rich, dark blue velvet, royal blue velvet. She drapes the velvet over a series of small boxes and stands, creating a multi-leveled miniature landscape that looks like a starry night sky. Then you and your papa begin to bring out the day's creations. He carries the racks of the hollow. St. Nicholas figures. You and your mama arrange them carefully on the velvet-draped landscape. You create a grand procession of saints, as if they are marching through the night to deliver their gifts. You place the shiny, gold foil-wrapped chocolate coins in glistening piles at their feet. You arrange the dozens of beautiful individual pralines in neat, tempting rows in glass display dishes. Finally, your papa brings the new creations from the pantry. He has demolded them, and they are breathtaking. The chocolate swans are flawless, their long necks curved in a graceful arch, their surfaces gleaming with a deep, dark shine. The willow branch tablets are just as beautiful, the intricate flowing design perfectly rendered, and if you look closely, you can just make out the tiny, elegant VB of your grandfather's maker's mark in the corner. These special chocolates, these ghosts from the past, are given the place of honor. Your mama places them on a small, elevated stand right at the center of the display, where they will be the first thing a customer sees. The display is complete. It is a magical, miniature world, a landscape of pure, delicious imagination. Social psychologists and retail historians of the future will debate the precise emotional effect of a beautifully curated window display like this one. Is it simply a way to create desire for a product, or does it tap into something deeper? A sense of community nostalgia, a feeling of wonder, a shared celebration of the magic of the season. Looking at the beautiful scene you have all created, you know it is all of these things. Your papa reaches up and flicks a switch. For the first time this season, the new electric lights in the shop window turn on, bathing the entire display in a warm golden glow. The chocolate shines, the gold coins glitter, and the velvet sky seems to shimmer. Come, your papa says softly. The three of you go outside, closing the shop door behind you, and stand on the cool, damp cobblestones of your quiet street. It has grown dark now, and a light mist is beginning to fall. You huddle together, looking into your own shop window. It is a beacon of warmth and light in the misty twilight. It is a small square of pure magic, a promise of the sweetness and joy to come. You look at the army of saints, the piles of golden coins, and at the center of it all, the elegant swans and willow tablets, your grandfather's legacy returned to its rightful place. You see the reflection of your own small family in the glass, huddled together, smiling. The day of gentle chaos is over. The work is done. You are ready. The image of that glowing window, a perfect jewel box on the dark, misty Belgian street, now begins to soften and fade. The rich, sweet scent of the chocolate shop, the memory of your parents' proud smiles, the feeling of quiet, shared accomplishment. Let it all dissolve into a single, peaceful, contented feeling. The busy, happy day has reached its perfect, gentle end. The shop is quiet now. The chocolates are all asleep in their beautiful display, waiting for the morning, and now it is your turn to rest. Allow that feeling of deep, cozy, and magical satisfaction to be your guide, leading you away from the cobblestone street and into the soft, quiet, and deeply peaceful world of your own sweet dreams.